Okay, it's a show time. So I'm very happy to be again with all of you who are, either on YouTube, on Twitter, or on LinkedIn. Welcome to Billy Coaching Live. This is the best time, in the week where I have the pleasure to interview the best experts in their field, leaders in their field, and today, we have the pleasure to have Tim Hughes with us. Welcome, Tim.
Thank you. Welcome. I'm really excited. Your people will find out I'm very passionate about this subject. So I love talking about it and sharing my knowledge. So Christine, thank you so much for inviting me.
Okay, wonderful. So before we start, I want to talk with you, the people who are listening. Please don't hesitate to share your comments, your question as part of this live.
I'm happy to take any questions,
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah.
So yes, Tim is really looking forward to that. So I will integrate your comments and your questions. So, this is for you. And so please don't hesitate to do that. Okay, so I would like to introduce Tim. Okay, so Tim is an expert in social selling and so-called smarketing. So he will tell us everything about these two keywords. He's the CEO of DLA Ignite. Is part of the top 200 biggest voice in leadership 2022. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And has published bestsellers. So on social selling techniques to influence buyers and change makers. Thank you, wonderful. And also marketing. Yeah. Voilà. So, if you want to know more after the show, you can look at these books to dig into these topics. So, okay, so saying that, and looking at your LinkedIn profile and preparing this discussion, I felt, and I mean, very clearly you state that as well, you like to transform. You like to be, to reflect and act as transforming, companies and lives. So how did it all started? How did you become an expert in social selling and marketing?
Great question. Thank you. So I used to work at my background is sales, and I've been in sales for 25 years. And I was working at a large US software company, and we went through a process of we were what was known as an on-premise company, and what was happening is that they were being the market was being disrupted by SaaS, so software as a service, and cloud-based companies, and we decided to put the sales force through a business process transformation. We were turning into a SaaS company ourselves, but we realized that the skills that the people had at the time weren't good enough for what was needed because of the competitive pressure we were under. So we taught the salespeople a number of things. We went through and said, right, we're going to try and move away from PowerPoints and get them to use whiteboards and actually tell stories and actually go into, because our view was that everybody was going to turn up with a set of PowerPoint slides, one with the graph where it goes upwards, and it's a cliche. What we wanted to do is get people to tell stories and actually whiteboard stuff. And also one of the things that we were going to do was we got people to actually start using social media. So looking the customers up. So you just said you looked at my LinkedIn profile. I think everybody kind of does that now. But back in 2014, 2015, that was quite revolutionary. Wow, you look people up. Wow, isn't that stalking or something?
Yeah.
I took 2,000 salespeople and pre-sales people through a very rudimentary usage of how to use social. And then things started to happen. All of a sudden, Matt Reynolds, who's my co-author on the Social Selling book, we met. He had contacts already at Kogan Page, which is our publisher, and within 3 months we got a publishing deal. It just kind of fell into place. What I would say about the book is it's not a book about LinkedIn. It's not a book about personal brand. It's not a book about my journey. It's a book about teaching people how to be social. And,
Mm.
and importantly, connecting the use of social media with profit and EBITDA and how you can generate business from using social media. It's not about how to be viral, how to post videos or anything like that. It's about how to conduct business on social.
Mm.
And that's what we do in terms of my business, DLA Ignite. We help businesses transform
Mm.
to use social media within the business. So most people will turn around and say, yeah, we're using social media already. And what it is that when the internet and social media came out, nobody knew what to do with it. So they handed it to marketing, and marketing have put it in their little cupboard. And every now and again, about every 2 weeks, marketing bring it out and they post a brochure on social media, which is generally ignored. And then they put it back again. And they may send an email out saying, please like the brochure, and it generates absolutely nothing for the organization. And what we do is that we actually take that out. We're taking social media out of the cupboard and actually using it as a strategy. So, all businesses need to transform to digital. And part of that is about understanding using social media as a strategic tool to increase efficiency and effectiveness, not just in sales, but across the whole of the business.
Mm. So what I get from what you shared, listening to you, it feels to me a very natural process that you are describing. Yeah. How does that feel to you? Like you said, the book came in 3 months, and it feels to me that this came pretty naturally to you. What do you think?
I'm not. I don't know whether it did or not. I mean, I've now been on Twitter for, I think it's 11 or 12 years. It's just coming up to that. And I had time, I think, because social
Mm,
media was fairly immature. I had time to experiment. But one of the things that I did was, I knew I decided that I'd been selling accounting systems for 20 years, and I didn't want to do that anymore. And
mhm,
so I did the classic thing, which is and this is a tip to other people out there, that if you want to change your life, and there's lots of gurus out there. I'm trying to think of the name of of them, but if you want to change your life, what you do is you set, you decide to say, this is where I'm going to be in 6 months or a year's time,
mhm,
and you can have affirmations and you can read those things out, which is great. But also, why don't you change your LinkedIn profile or your social profiles to reflect that new position rather than the position that you're in right now? And
mm,
what I did was I didn't, and this is purely, like a lot of things in life, I just did it and I thought it'd be, I'll see
mm,
what happens. And what I did was that I started, I changed my profile to being about social media, which is what I wanted to do. I wanted to transform organizations. I could see that there was something in this. I didn't know what it was back in 2014, 2015. And what I did was I changed my profile for that. And of course, like a lot of these things, if you're having these your affirmations in terms of saying where you want to be in the future, the reason why it comes true is because your mind starts thinking about it. And it's the same with social media. If
mm.
you position yourself as where you want to go, then it just came really, really quickly.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
that's the power of social media, and it's the power of coming on these things, which is, you and me met on social. We're talking because of that. We've talked, we've had a chat, we kind of know each other, we know, and that's such a powerful thing, is
Mm.
talking to people and having conversations. And that's the key thing about social. It's social. Social media is social.
Yeah, I mean, I find very inspiring what you just shared, because I'm also, as a coach and as a person, very fan about projecting, ourselves in the future and pretending, in
Yeah.
parentheses, that we are already there. It's a very powerful tool that I have used all my life, and I can see the power of it also as a coach, okay? Coaching teams and leaders. And because the brain doesn't make the difference between, the reality and the dream, and that helps you a lot to get where you want to be. So it's really about, who you want to be or where you want to be, huh?
Yes,
And
instead of writing, I'm currently an accountant, and all I do is I look at spreadsheets every day. Rather than writing that, you could put, I'm a cage fighter,
Mhm,
there's nothing I like getting up in the morning than getting in a cage and fighting. And
mhm,
what will happen is that you're an accountant and you want to be a cage fighter, changing your LinkedIn profile will fight, because people are looking for cage fighters saying, here's a cage fighter. He used to be an accountant. That's a great story. We'll get
mhm,
him on.
mhm. Yeah. Yeah, the power of story, also very important, as you highlight. And the new link I make in my mind, and please, for those who are listening, share if that's also new for you or not, is the approaching the social media differently, right? So for those who know me, I'm a passionate networker, so I create new connections every day, because I like to get to know people, and I like to learn new things. So it's part of, developing each other. Here, what I get is that, um, yeah, it's definitely, how can I summarize that? Definitely a tool to create the future, right? So it's not about, the connection you make now, okay, which is also very important. This discussion is important. It's also, projecting yourself in the future. So I don't know if that was the message you wanted to convey with social selling, Tim, but I'm,
Well,
yeah,
I'm warming up to it, So, um,
uh-huh,
I mean, the thing that you said there was that you were an avid networker, and I think, a lot of people
mhm,
see what the mistake that people make with
mhm,
social is that they think it's the same as the things were before.
mhm,
So when I first started selling, what I would do is I would cold call people. I'd ring people up, I would interrupt them, and I would basically pitch them.
mhm,
And then in the 90s, what happened was that we stopped sending letters to people and we started sending emails to people. And what that was again, what we do is we interrupt you and we
mhm,
pitch we're going to pitch what we do. It's
mhm,
called interrupt marketing. And then so what people do is that because that's been ingrained into them, it's 50-year-old 50-year-old processes. What they
mhm.
do is that they turn up to social media and say, right, what we've got to do is interrupt people and pitch our services, and then they find it doesn't work. And the reason for that is that social media is social media.
Mhm,
It's not turn up and pitch media, or connect and pitch media, or spam media. It's social media.
mhm,
So so what happens is that people turn up and they do it all wrong. So how about I drive to Basel, right? Pick you up tomorrow
mhm,
in the car, and we drive to a place. I know a place in Basel, nearby Basel, where we can drive to, and in this room, in this conference hall, it's full of your prospects and customers. Would you be interested in coming? Of course you
I
would.
guess everybody will say
Of
yes,
course
huh?
you would. Of course
I
you would.
please share.
And of course you would. And all you have to do
Mhm,
is walk up to them and have a conversation. Now
mhm,
you're a networker, so you know what that's like. You just walk up to somebody and say, "Hi, how you doing? Have you travelled very far?" "Well, I live at so and so." "Okay," and you just have a conversation. And that's what social media is about. It's about having conversations. Now, the great thing about um, having this place that I can drive you to tomorrow is that you can stay there as long as you like. You
mhm,
can stay there for half an hour, or you can stay there all day. I don't mind. Once you've finished, I'll drive you back home. But it's so you can be there 24 hours talking to prospects and customers.
mhm,
And this is the key essence about social, which
mhm,
is about having conversations.
mm. Yeah, and I think you are highlighting very nicely that, in connecting with people in this very easy way we have now with social media, internet, is we are creating the future, right? So it's not so much about what's happening on the moment, huh? It's more about the intention with which you are approaching people. Okay, so what's important for you, what's important for the other, and what can you do with that, right? So it's a way to, you know, and you know, I don't know for those who are listening, but when I read a profile, I get inspired. Okay,
Or you get bored. Yeah, because there's a most salespeople
yeah.
still have their LinkedIn profile will be a CV, or what it will say something like, "I've been to President's five times. Once I get my teeth into a customer, either they die or I die first." And what they don't understand is that we know for sure, because we do it, and all the research says it, Gartner, McKinsey, HubSpot, all say that our buyers are on social media. They're searching for what we sell.
Yeah.
So if I'm a buyer and it says, once I get my teeth into a customer, I'm either they die, I'm not interested in that person, because all they're going to do is try and sell me something that I don't want. So I just move on.
Yeah.
And the thing is that LinkedIn, your LinkedIn profile is your shop window. There is 800 million people walking past that shop window every single day. Your job, funnily enough, isn't to allow them to keep walking past and going, I know, never want to talk to that person. They look a complete idiot. Your job is to get them to go, do you know that person looks really interesting? I wonder if they could help me. We've got this old rickety accounting system, and this person, they obviously, okay, I get that they sell accounting systems, but they obviously understand the business issues that we've got because they've written about it. And the point of it is that to get the person to come and look at your LinkedIn profile. If you have LinkedIn Professional Edition, like I do, which is the one up from the free version, anybody who looks at your LinkedIn profile, you can have LinkedIn tells you that. So immediately you have an ability to have a conversation with them. The reason why I'm sitting here is that you looked, Christine, at my LinkedIn profile, and I went back to you, and we had a conversation, then we had a call, and now we're here.
Yeah.
So and now I'm talking to your audience. So so your job is about getting people to look at your profile. And you do that by creating what we call a buyer-centric profile. This isn't about a personal brand. I don't like the term because personal brand tends to sound like something I can't achieve. Like Brian, I'm never going to, I'm an ordinary salesperson. I'm never going to be like Brian Solis. He's been doing it longer than me. It's just not going to work.
Yeah.
This is just about having a profile that your customer in your vertical will go, that looks interesting. I'll give you an example. So Namos is an Oracle reseller. They're got about 100 people, small business, 100 people. 2 weeks after we trained them in social selling, they changed their profiles, they built the network, that they were putting out content, and we'll come to those things in a moment. But one of there was a customer out there looking for a solution that they could provide. They saw one of the salespeople and went, that person looks interesting. They went and said, can you help us? And then there was a discussion, just like you would expect any salesperson to have. Yeah, we can help you. What business problem have you got? Well, we've got this, or we've been doing this here. That turned into a $2.6 million deal.
Wow.
Now, the transformation here is that this isn't, yes, we're using social to do outbound and prospect, but we're also using social as a way to actually pull people. And what you'll find is that the more human you are on social media, what happens is that actually people walk towards you. Now, as a sales force, if there's any people watching, or just think of the transformation that would take if just one salesperson had one person walking towards them, and you converted that into a $2.6 million deal. Apart from the fact you would have the chance of actually saying, I've just taken £2.6 million off my competition that they're not close. So that's the power and the transformation that you can get from just being social and having a buyer-centric profile.
Okay, wow. And so when you are talking about marketing, is it what you mean, or do you mean something else?
So marketing is the merge is what we're seeing it well we see is the merger of sales and marketing.
Mhm. Okay.
Um, there's an American term now that's generally used, which is RevOps, or revenue operations.
Mhm.
And really what this is, it's about having taking sales, marketing. If you're in the SaaS world, in high tech, then you'll have renewals, and taking all of those things. And quite often what you find is that they have different objectives, different measures, different structures. And what you do is you bring them together into one department with one strategy, one set of governance, and one set of KPIs.
Hmm.
So
Okay.
when I previously worked in corporate world, we had a telesales team in Dublin, like a lot of people do. The telesales team had a different way of measurement, and they had a different way of structure. And what would happen is that we would go to them at the beginning of the year and say, this is how we're structured. And they say, well, that's kind of interesting, but we're structured completely differently.
Okay.
So you had this situation where you had two parts of the same organization kind of rowing in different directions. And
Mhm.
the idea with RevOps or marketing is about bringing them all together. Now,
Okay.
this is not about sales taking over marketing or marketing
Mhm.
taking over
Yeah.
sales.
Okay.
Ultimately, this is about the organizations coming together. Now,
Mm.
if you're going to set a strategy and you work in an inspirational organization, then creating a strategy is about bringing everybody together and coming up with a strategy that you all agree on, rather than Tim Hughes
Mhm.
saying this is what the strategy is and telling everybody what it is.
Mhm.
So if
Mhm.
you have a strategy and you have a set of measures and the governance,
Mhm.
everybody basically should agree with that, but you should all be rowing within the same direction.
Okay, nice. And so, can you highlight for us also the maybe that's a link, I don't know, with how you got into this expertise of transforming companies?
Um, I think it was because I've always worked in an environment where what we've done has been about transformation.
Mm,
And what I knew when I was back in 2015. So I wrote this back in 2015. It came out in
mhm,
2016, and I knew that just go, presenting to people and saying for 2 hours and saying this is how you use LinkedIn,
mhm,
and you do this, you press this button, you do this. I did not see
mhm,
how that was going to change the world.
mm,
And I knew that I had to come up with a mechanism of a methodology or a transformation that would, because if you just turn up and say this is how you use LinkedIn, we will go, that's great, and then basically nothing happens.
mhm,
There's a class, there's a lots of people that go around doing hints and tips, and nothing ever changes. What we have to do is we need to make sure that we're providing people with a platform for habit change and mindset change,
mm,
because we know that everybody has been brainwashed into saying I need to interrupt you and I need to pitch. Okay, well that's not how social works, and that's not how the modern buyer expects you to work. So there's this real problem that there's 50 years worth of processes that are trying to push one way, and we have the modern buyer which is saying, I don't want that shit. You can go away. 2 words, one of them being off.
yeah,
That's not the way the world works anymore. And
mm,
what the way the world works is that through the use of social and the way of having conversations.
mm,
So that's what we see as transformation. But just to we have been talking about sales. To digress,
mm, mm,
um, you can use, we work with organizations to use social within human resources. Why do we do that? Because if you're getting people that are actually um, taking who they are and putting their authentic self on social media and saying, this is my company and this is how it works, you'll get people going, I quite fancy working there. Now, if you put an advert out and say, come here, come and work here, everyone says, yeah, but you're going to say that anyway. You're biased.
Mm-hmm.
And in this marketplace where A, we're trying to retain people, and B, we're trying to recruit people, what you're able to do is actually use social as a way of empowering your people. Right, we're going to train you and we're going to empower you, and you're going to talk about the culture and what your feelings and you're going to put that on social media. Now, for a lot of people, that's scary. Fine, but that's the way that things were 10 years ago. The modern job seeker is looking for that. The modern job seeker is saying, I want a cool place to live. I had a conversation just today about someone who wants to go and work at a company. And they looked at that. They said they got the interview set up with a partner for the company they're going to go and work for, very big company. And they phoned my partner and said, this partner of this big company, she doesn't exist. I've got a job interview with her. Well, what do you mean she doesn't exist? Well, she's not on LinkedIn. And this is, here's somebody born in the 90s. They're a millennial, and for a person to exist, they have to exist on social media. And what they're looking for is to say, what does this person look like? What are they posting? What's their story? What's the company? What's the story? What are the people? I want to work for an environment where there's someone posting about sustainability. I want to work for a company where they're talking about the diversity, how they're talking about, we've got a women's group. Oh yeah, we had a women's group, and they're talking, and this is, and what we now have are employees that want to stay there. And what we also have is that we have people that go, I want to work there. Now, not your average job seeker, but the people that have worked at other organizations, long stayers, that are saying, I've actually just seen a company that I really, really want to work for. Because as we all know, the people that we want to get really are the people that have probably been at a company for like 10 years, because we know they're probably the most efficient and effective, and they're the high performers. So we have a client, you watch the news and everything about, oh, we can't get the talents, etc., etc. We've got clients that are getting recruiting salespeople, and they're not using ads. They're not using recruitment consultants. So I've got one company, they saved £160,000 by just going on social and being social. This is what transformation is. We've got the whole world concerned about how do we get people, and we've got a whole bunch of our clients that are basically saying it's not a problem. I've got 3 clients that tell me they've got too much pipeline.
That's really impressive. What I get from this is this, focus on using social media to reveal yourself, to show who you are, to present yourself with your values, your motivation, your vision, and attract naturally, people who want to know more, who want to work with you, right? So
Yes, yeah.
making this pretty natural. We are back to this.
Yeah, absolutely. So if I want to go and work at Deloitte, if I want to work at Deloitte, I have a vision in my head about working what working at Deloitte is like. Accenture, KPMG, and I'm just picking on IBM. I'm just picking on companies, but I will go online and I will look at those companies, and I will see what they're doing on social, and I will see what their employees are doing at social, and I will make a decision about whether I want to work at that company based on those things.
Yep.
I had a call with someone recently who said, as far as they had a friend who basically who was recruiting, and they get 2 people down to the final interviews, and they kept losing the candidate. And they went back to the people from they went back to the candidate and said, why did you not choose us? Where did you go with the other company? And they said, well, we can't see you. We can't see what you're like. The other company, I can see they're talking on social media. I can see people talking in an authentic way. And what brands have to understand is that there's no brand anymore. I'm going to go and work at Deloitte because Christine Billy is there, or just using you as a
Mhm.
example. You know, I'm going there because I've seen the people online, and
Mhm.
that person, and I may not be working for them, but I know Stephen looks really interesting. He's doing a whole load of stuff on AI, and he's sharing it out
Mhm.
on social media, and
Yeah.
that's why people are making decisions about stuff. And this
Yeah.
whole thing about the Great Resignation and
Mhm.
it's all because people don't understand how to use social media.
Mhm. That's very interesting because when you said you shared that, this profile on LinkedIn or social media are like, the windows, right? If you are walking in the street and you look at the shops or you are looking for choosing a restaurant or, place to stay, you are, looking for sensing, this is, how you will feel,
Yes,
joining, I mean, eating in the restaurant or staying
it's
somewhere.
a great metaphor, Christine. It's just like that. You know, you if you go into High Street,
Mhm,
you know, if, in London, you know, there's French, there's
mhm, mhm,
whatever you want,
mhm,
and it's really a case of walking down the street and actually saying, does that one look nice or does that one look nice? And
mhm,
that's the decisions that people are making.
mhm.
And whether it's buying something or selling something,
Yeah,
or whether it's recruitment, this is how people make decisions.
yeah.
And I'm making, and you know, there's an old saying that people buy people. It's so true. What
Mhm.
I'm looking for is, and got to remember that the millennials are now 30 years old. You know, we've got Gen Z coming through who are now
Mhm,
um, leaving university.
mhm.
And these people are making decisions this way, and they're going to organizations based on this. You know, we had Cognizant this week did a rebrand. They're saying we're a digital organization. Go and
Yeah.
have a look there. Go and have a look. Go and
Yeah,
have a look at their social. They're
yeah,
not a digital
yeah.
organization.
So yeah, that's very interesting, and I'm a really a strong believer that as a coach, we often get into a discussion about being yourself, okay, and
Yes.
appreciating yourself for who you are, and communicating really the authentic you, right, which makes really life very easy, in fact, because when you are comfortable with who you are and when you are communicating that, you are naturally selecting, okay, the people who are interested by what you can offer, the person you are. And I fully agree with you that people connect with you and develop collaboration or make business because of who you are, okay?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And what
Who
they're
you
looking
are translate in the products and the services.
and
So,
what they're looking for,
mhm,
in
mhm,
business to business and business to consumer, where there's a considered purchase, like for example, buying a BMW.
mhm,
Um, in both of those cases, you won't sell those things without a conversation. So the driver you always need to be looking for is having a conversation, not me ringing you up and pitching to you. It's about having a conversation. And um, so what you need to be doing is that you need to be presentable, and you need to be in a position that people go, that person looks like an expert. Now, what I mean by that is everybody in sales, for example, generally knows the vertical market they're working in, life sciences or financial services. They know what the business issues are within those. Then why are you not talking about that? Why are you not in that situation that the salesperson at Namos was with, where they were basically, they had a profile, and they were using content as a way of saying, this is my expertise, and this is me as a person. Because what we're doing is I don't connect with a brochure. I connect with Christine Billy because she's an individual and she's interesting.
mhm,
So what we need to be doing is that we need to be sharing content which is sharing and demonstrating my expertise, but also demonstrating that the fact that we are who we are, and we
mhm,
are human beings. So, for example, I met my father on Sunday. He's in a nursing home. He has dementia, and he's 88 and he has Parkinson's disease. I've not been able to see him since last May because of COVID.
mm,
We went along, and and considering he has no memory at all, either long term or short term, he did know who I was, and he and I had a good laugh, and it was really great. And I put a picture of him and me up on LinkedIn. Now, some people say yes, but that's for Facebook. Well, actually, no, because if you ask a salesperson and say, okay, how do you get close to your clients? They say, well, I take them for dinner, or you take them to sports. And you say, so what do you do when you go for dinner? Do you just talk about work? I say, no, I don't talk about work. I talk about what family they've got and how many kids they've got. Why do you do that? Well, because I get to know them. And once we get to know them a bit better, it's easier to sell them stuff. Right. Okay. That's why we post humanized content on LinkedIn, because what it means is that as people come and see it, they go, Tim Hughes is just like me. Most people of my age have elderly parents. He's just like me. He has an elderly father. He was pleased to see them, and you can empathize or sympathize with it. Yeah. So when people come to my LinkedIn profile, not only do they see Tim Hughes, I think this guy understands something about social transformation, but also they can see that he's a human being. And what we're doing is that we're making that connection. And that's so important that that we're not just putting out content which is brochures. So by the way, I need to say to people, if you put out brochures, you're training the LinkedIn algorithm to ignore you. Because research shows that people come to social media to be social. They don't come to social media to read your brochure or your brochureware. Anything that says buy my product because it's great, like everybody says, is not useful on LinkedIn, and no one's interested. And the only reason why people are getting lots of engagement from that is because they've sent an email around saying, please like this, and it will be generating nothing for them as a business. So, keep the brochures at home. What we want to see is human content, something that you've created yourself. You've put your energy, your expertise, your authenticism, all of those things in, and we want to see that, and we want to see more of that.
Yeah, so that's a wonderful, powerful message, okay, for us. So keeping in mind, this, link between who you are as a person and what you do as an expertise, and making the link clear, okay, so that people can really get a good understanding about, what's important for you and why you are doing what you are doing, okay, and this is how you connect. So really the passion is such a powerful way to connect. People can feel in the body language when you are passionate about what you are doing. And they want to approach you to share this positive feeling. So that's very nice. So I have a question I like to ask to the people, when I connect and interview you, is what are your priorities for this year, Tim?
I think that when you connect, so one of the things that you need to have is a wide and varied network. And the reason for that is that LinkedIn search works very differently to Google search. So Google search is based on keywords, and what Google does is it presents, you ask a question, it presents what it thinks is the answer to your question. LinkedIn works slightly different to that. What it does is it works on keywords, but it presents the answer of an individual based on how close they are to your network. So what you need to do is you need to have as many connections out there as you can in the accounts that you're trying to sell to or whatever, so that when you're doing that when people ask the question, you will be central to that that search. When you connect to people, your objective is to get a conversation. Your objective is not to get the connection. The connection isn't that worth that much to you. When you connect to somebody, everybody now knows that most people connecting are basically going to probably try and spam you. They're going to connect and they're either connecting and they're pitching, or they're going to connect and then they're going to pitch. So what you have is you have 10 years of people that are absolutely pissed off with people keep connecting and pitching. So if you are just a smidge salesy, you won't get people connecting to you. So words like, I get people connecting to me and saying, I'd like to get to know you and see if there's any synergies. Well, I'm not interested in getting to know you, because synergy means you want to sell me something. And all of those. LinkedIn said I should be part of your network. Well, I don't care. I don't care what LinkedIn says. You're too lazy to send me a connection request. What if I was at a networking event, what would you do? You'd come up to me and you'd ask me a question. You would be interested in me.
Yeah.
You would, and you'd say, how far have you, so the thing is that I get people sending me the connection request saying, I'd like to connect to you because I create really interesting content and I think you'd be interested in reading it. No, why? You've got to remember that I don't think something's interesting until I've actually read it. So the fact that you think that your content is really interesting is very arrogant. And I'm not interested in being connected to somebody who's arrogant. So what you need to do if you want someone to connect, you need to be interested in the other person. And there's nothing like flattery. So if you're going to, Tim, I saw you. Hi, Tim. I saw you on the podcast with Christine Billy. I thought you said some really, really great things. I've looked at your profile and you've got some great experience. Can we connect?
Yeah, and I'm just trying to remember how I connected with you.
Who's the most important person in the world?
So yeah, I
am. You are. To you, to the most important person in the world to you is you. The most important person to the world is me. So but if you I quite often get these and then it will say, and I've got some software and I just go disconnect. This is what we're looking for. What we need is conversations. Now, there's always these people that out there that will try and sell to anything. We see there's been three people out there. One is there's people that will buy. There's people that will refer you. So they'll say, this, I'm not the person to speak to, but my brother-in-law, Steve's looking at this at the moment. He was asking me about this at the weekend. And the third thing is this different thing in social, which is someone that will amplify you. So the thing about your network is that you need to have a wide and varied network.
Yeah.
But also the great thing about network is that, and the way it works on LinkedIn is that there's networks of network. So if you're scrolling through your LinkedIn timeline, the content that you'll see is content from your network. You'll also see content from your network's network, because what LinkedIn wants you to do is to connect to more people, because it's a networking site. So what you'll do is that whenever I comment on something or like it, it goes through my network. So one of the things that you get are these amplifiers, which are people will go, I think that Christine Billy is really, really interesting. I like her podcast, and I'm going to like that. And I'm going to say, Christine, really love this chat with Tim Hughes. Great insight. I'm going to go and buy his book. But the moment that person has done that, it's gone through their network. So having these people who are amplifiers means that you're not just selling to your network, you're selling to your network's network. And the way that it works, the way that a network works is actually exponential. So what happens is that you're going from 20,000 to 100,000 to million to 2 million people. And you're taking your influence and your message, and that's going out and it's spreading. And that is really powerful.
Okay, wonderful. So, yeah, I think what you highlight, and which is very important, is to really, think about the network like an infinite, way of spreading, your expertise, spreading also your curiosity, your questions, and helping each other, right? So it's really about being in curiosity. And I really, I'm a big fan of networking for a very long time. Um, Things get very easy when you have a very broad and diverse network, right? So,
Yes.
yeah, because you can easily find an answer to your question. You can easily develop an idea. So, yeah, I agree with you. I think it's a great focus for 2022 in a very changing environment as well. You know, you really want to have a strong network like this, a diverse network to move forward.
So, I mean, one of the things that we teach people to do is how to connect people and have
Mhm,
conversations. We do that in our second module. And from a salesperson's perspective, currently as I'm speaking today, it does change every now and again, but you can connect to 200 people a week through
mhm,
LinkedIn.
mhm.
And we're always saying to salespeople, this is an opportunity for you to have 200 conversations in a week and to grow that network. And as you grow the network, you're going to get more people coming and looking at you,
Mhm.
going, well, that looks interesting. More people, and a wider network of a network.
Yeah.
It just pays for itself. But often, I was one of the things that we do is that, with clients, is that we sometimes help them with their forecast and their pipeline. And what we do is we use social techniques to de-risk the forecast and the pipeline. And I was in a forecast meeting with one of our clients, and Domino's Pizza came up, the pizza company, and the salesperson said, "Yeah, it's a done deal." And all of the management had met management in Domino's Pizza, and they said, "Okay, yeah, okay." And I said, "It's not going to happen." They said, "What do you mean?" I said, "The salesperson isn't connected to anybody in LinkedIn." I said that they don't have any relationships there. I said, I get that the management team may have met managers within Domino's Pizza, but you've got to have relationships as a salesperson. The deal never happened. And that's the thing, which is, if you take an organization like BMW, it's got 100,000 employees. It's no good being connected to 1, 2, 10 people within BMW if it's at one of your key accounts. You need to be connected to 100. You may even need to be connected to 1,000. I don't know. I've got one sales guy who's got a particular target account, and he's been targeting them for 12 months. He's connected to the whole of the board in the UK, the whole of the board in the US, as well as about 900 other people. He's just about to close probably his biggest ever deal in that company. And that was where they actually came to him and said, we like what you're talking about. Can we have a conversation? And what I'm getting across is that certainly in the sales environment, if you're doing quarterly business reviews or QBRs, and you're reviewing people and saying, okay, what's happening in this account, there has to be a review in terms of how many people that you're connected to within those particular
Mhm,
accounts.
mhm.
We're working with a supply chain software company, and they tell me that for every deal they do, there's 100 stakeholders.
Yeah.
That's 100 people. So Gartner will tell you there's 10 stakeholders in a sale, which some people think is a lot.
Mhm,
Um, and of course, what happens is the more stakeholders there are, they've all gone out and done their own research.
mhm,
So they've all got their own different opinions about what things are. What your job is to do is not ring them up and annoy them and pitch. Your job is to connect to them and have a conversation with them.
mhm,
You can do that easily within, if you've got 200 connections in a week, you can basically pick off and have multiple accounts that you're selling to and doing, 200, do two accounts if you've got 100 stakeholders. And it's about having relationships and conversations.
mhm,
When we get to the point where they all sit around a room and say, okay, which product they're going to have, who they're going to choose, well, then they're more likely to choose the one where they go, do you know, I like that Tim Hughes. I think he's going to look after us. Yeah, I agree. He
mhm.
puts out some good stuff. I think they're the right people, and that is enough to win the business.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much for your insights.
Thank you, Christine.
Keep in mind, this, diversity of the network, and also the relationship you create by, sharing about yourself and your passion, because that's how we connect to people, right? So,
Yes.
by being interested
Yes.
by what others are doing, and also interested by what we are doing, okay? And that the connection comes from that, okay? So I think it was really a nice, discussion, and, so many interesting insights around this question about how to capitalize on social selling and marketing. So I'm looking at the clock, and I can't believe we are almost at the end already. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Christine. It's been great talking to you.
Yeah, I mean, wonderful. For those who are, listening to us, don't hesitate to also comment and ask questions after the show, okay? And in preparation of the next lives, also send me your question, your topics, preferred topics of the moment. So, teasing for next week. So I am live on Tuesday mornings at 8:30 CET, where I share my insights, my tips of the week. Okay, for you to have a healthy life, and also the impact you want. So I will have the pleasure to do that from another place next week. I was just sharing with Tim before the live that I am so excited to travel
Traveling.
to
Yeah.
another place next week. So I will be live from that place, so that you can also see where I am, and so it's a surprise for you. So I won't interview people, leaders next week because of this traveling, but we will come back to it in 2 weeks, okay? So that said, I wish you a great evening for those who are in Europe, and for those in US or Asia. Continue your day and enjoy, and talk soon. Thank you so much, Tim, again.
Thanks, Christine. Thanks. Bye.
Bye bye.